Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on, and hopefully help understand what will happen this weekend. Weekends can be a little strange for behavior, and truth be told, we really just want to pay attention mostly to the volume and ensure that we have a good amount of volume in the weekend, which seems kind of strange and contradictory because there's typically less volume on the weekends. But on a momentous trend like this, we should expect to see more volume than usual. We'll take a look at that and much more, of course. Now, you're not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. So let's all just learn and grow together, right? That's the whole point of this. So go ahead and make sure that you check out my website, CryptoCache.tech. If you want to become a better trader, I have a trading community, trading academy that I teach you how to become a better trader. And I send out every single trade that I take as a signal so you can follow that if you'd like to structure your trades more effectively. Because again, it's not about buying low and selling high and just finding the right time. A lot of it has to do with structuring your trades and make sure you don't get stopped out with the trailing stop loss, and of course hitting multiple profit targets and not just shooting for one ungodly number that's never going to be hit. Right? This is trading. You got to play your cards right because every market has pullbacks. So speaking of pullbacks, let's go ahead and see if there's potential here for Bitcoin. First things first, we're obviously up over the moving averages, at least the key one here for the 50, 200s of ways away. We have this resistance channel, just to clarify once more, it's between 44,500 and 46,000. So this resistance channel, the price every time it travels into it gets rejected. Now, I do believe with constant, volume or more consistency in volume, and of course the way that this has progressed upwards, a nice healthy pattern, right? More of a staircase pattern on the shorter time frames versus a kind of a somewhat of a parabolic increase. We should experience a breakthrough here soon. This is effectively the fourth attempt to try to break that resistance, and I think we're likely going to do that. Now there's potential, of course, for a slight pullback. If that were to happen, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'd actually kind of welcome it so we can get a better position at maybe 42, 43,000. I think the lowest point which we'll see in the immediate future is 42,200. That's kind of a key level resistance we saw here recently. Should work as a support level moving forward. So just be mindful of that. And as far as the next steps here, let's go ahead and take a look at a few things. RSI is not overextended or underextended. We're right in that sweet spot. I'd love to see kind of a 60 on the RSI, if you will. Kind of just slowly progressing. Now, you could argue the fact that it's losing momentum. That is true. This is a weekend, of course. You don't see a tremendous amount of momentous trends through the weekend. But the key here is to not lose a key level support, which is roughly 42,200. So the price were to retrace, wouldn't be the end of the world. We could effectively and should effectively bounce off of that support level. Taking a look at the 4 hour though, let's go ahead and see where we're at on the moving averages. The 50 is moving up perfectly with this ascending type of pattern. So once again, if there is a correction down to 43 or 42, the likelihood of this pattern continuing to hold is higher because once again, it's synonymous with the 50-day SMA, and that's an extremely important aspect of trend lines. You see declining trend lines, they're almost always the same exact as well, where the 50 is moving synonymous with that overall trend. Okay, so again, that's just kind of what we're seeing here. That's a very positive thing, as well as the fact that the 200 is trailing behind. And generally speaking, once again, 42.2 should be the lowest point if there was a retracement. RSI is calming down. I like to see this. This is actually very healthy because, once again, my personal opinion, RSI over 70 on the 4 hour is too much. I don't really truly like to see that. And, truth be told, if it can just kind of trend between 50 and 70 consistently, then we're going to be in good shape. I mean, if you take a look at this trend here, ever since the price has broke above 50 on the RSI, it's done very well. Like, this is that progress there, right? If you look in the past, when it breaks above 50, when it does a parabolic increase, it came up over 70. And what do you know? It came tumbling back down. It was way too overextended in too short a time, right? So we don't like these kind of things. This isn't good. Obviously, there's cases in point where you can take profits. I believe we actually had a trade open at that time, as a matter of fact, and took some decent profits, and our trailing stop loss closed our position in the green. But on the same accord, those aren't healthy continuations. Those don't really breed the kind of results that you're looking for long term. Okay, so again, that being said, we're in a perfect position here. It is effectively consolidating right at this resistance. You could argue that this is a type of pendant pattern that could break out to the upside. I would expect a breakout to the upside more so early next week, and I would anticipate perhaps, again, just to be realistic here, the fact that we have a MACD divergence and a few other factors, we could effectively see the price retrace a little bit. Again, somewhere between 42 to 43. So my anticipation here is to try to get in between 42 and 43 and to, effectively get that, get in a position there. Because once again, even if the price were to come down all the way to 42, it would still be a higher low, okay? And that's something to celebrate. That's the main reason why 42.2 is also a key level resistance, or was a resistance, right? Now a support, based on the simple fact that we have that as a support level, and generally speaking, that is still making higher lows, okay? And higher lows are pivotal to a good continuation to the upside, and that's what we've been experiencing for some time now. And to keep that maintaining, we cannot lose 42.2, okay? So that being said, a pullback would make sense. It's not extremely overextended per se, but it does appear that it's losing its momentum. Speaking of volume, let's touch on that here as well. We can see a diminished amount of volume here, of course, which is synonymous with weekend behavior. That's normal stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. And why don't we take a look at the 1 day for the volume there as well? And we can see once again this trading candle is right around 7. We got 6 hours left in this candlestick. So on this 1 day candlestick here so far, that's a pretty small amount of volume, all things considered. So low volume going into a weekend is normal, but it was a green week day. Sorry, green week. The weekdays were green, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to see in a potential likelihood is a pullback here soon, but it shouldn't be significant. It should look something like this if we were to see one. And I don't think it's going to be a big market mover. I think it'll probably be very subtle, if at all. It may not even happen. We could see the price literally go sideways the rest of the weekend. But in most cases, when you see this low amount of volume, you could see a turnaround. I saw that last Sunday. I believe it was the 20th right here. We had low volume going into a Sunday, and we closed our positions, and what do you know, the price came back down. So we could experience something like that to honor this trend line and move back up again. That would actually be perfect. Main reason why, it would give us higher lows on, more consistent higher lows on the daily, but also more importantly, just give us that consolidation we need for the next leg up to be able to gear up for this strong resistance channel, okay? So again, all good stuff here in this sense. Just don't be surprised the price, retraces by, what percent would that be? I'd say 5% would be the tops. We shouldn't see anything more than a 5% retracement. But again, all goes well. We don't do anything at all, right? So just keep in mind with the lower volume, essentially, we're going to slowly start dissipating. At least there's potential for that, especially going into this resistance channel. In order to break a resistance, a strong resistance, which we've seen at 44.5, we need to have more volume. That's just kind of the only way to look at it there. And if you kind of take a look at the volume of the last, how many trading days would this be? This would be about 2 weeks roughly. We can see a strong amount of volume at about 41,000, and of course the 39,000 from before. But this volume here isn't enough just yet to be able to keep us, push us higher, if you will, right? We need it to be more volume like this, which basically just means we need more time, okay? So again, more time will give us more results there. And take a look at the cloud. Something to note here as well, the cloud is effectively working as a support level so far. And just note too, if the price were to travel into the cloud, until it breaks below this lower line, it is not considered to be broken and below the cloud. You can travel into the cloud. Yes, it's recommended not to necessarily take a position while you're in the cloud, but you got to understand there's two leads here. There's an upper lead and a lower lead, and the lower is effectively also a support as well as the upper, right? They're both support levels. Until they're both broken, you can consider that to be still above the cloud, for lack of better terms. But generally speaking, we've only got one indication here that, I wouldn't say even it's considered a buy signal per se. We have one indication essentially telling us that the cloud may be working as a support. But the lagging spans told us already, hey, you probably want to consider closing your position. And these two spans here essentially have intersected with the price action or themselves. When you got the baseline, the conversion lines hitting, then that's basically an idea of, hey, you might want to consider taking profits. So we've got two take profit signals here, so to speak, if you have a long position, okay? Now, heaven forbid you take profits and the price jumps up tomorrow. That happens sometimes. But this is more of a safer indicator, and it's going to get you in and out of trades when the momentum is in the right direction. And what this is telling us is that we're losing momentum to the upside for now. Again, lower volume, less likelihood of breaking that resistance, and more likelihood of a rejection to the downside. Again, these are just things that I'm extracting, right? The only way to really anticipate the future of trading is to essentially just get as much information as possible, and every time frame is telling you a different story. You put that all together and you come with an educated, guess. Seriously, that's literally how it is. So my educated guess here is that we're losing volume, which is typical for a weekend. And when we have a strong green weekday, usually weekends are red based on that sentiment because they're weak going into the weekend. Yes, we have a lot of strength going into this weekend, but there's also a tremendous amount of volume right at that same precipice. So we're right at this point here where we need to pass this volume, or we need the volume to pass this point, but we're at a weekend, so we're kind of just hitting the pause button. So my speculation is one of two things will happen. We'll just keep going sideways like we see right here, continue to test that, likely get rejected based on low volume, and or we get rejected, price comes down to bounce off 42.2 or somewhere in the range of roughly maybe about 43.1, 43.2, and then we see a bounce or correction to the upside once the market opens early next week. That's probably more so a likelihood here. Again, just based on everything that I've extracted here so far, it's more likely to retrace a little bit and go sideways than it is to increase from here, at least over the weekend, right? Unless we get a big market mover jumping in here, which is less common on the weekend, giving us that volume we need, we should expect maybe a little bit of stagnation for the moment / retracement. So that's kind of where you're at there for Bitcoin. I hope that you found benefit and you learned something here today, of course. Comment below if you did. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're not currently a community member. CryptoCache.tech is the site. Link in the description below. I help you become a better trader with my academy, an amazing community. Thank you so much to all my 300 plus members. And of course, I send out signals for every trade that I take, and we are hitting literally every single profit target imaginable at this point. It's a really awesome experience. So check that out in your own time. Hey, thanks again for joining me. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.